Two questions came up in the group today. First was around how are people dealing with potential air pockets in between the head and the helmet, or the helmet padding, and the worries of resin getting stuck in there, and later expanding, causing issues. And then we're going to address that. The second issue, which we're going to talk about and address first, is around chin straps. The question was about, especially with McFarlane size figures, printing chin straps, them breaking or not even printing, because they're so thin. They're really hard to get successful prints with sometimes. And even if you do get a successful print, they're very prone to snapping and breaking, even when you're careful. I found myself either creating thickened versions of the straps to print at the 6-inch size, 6-inch scale, but then I run into fitting issues. It's bulkier around the chin. The mask doesn't fit as well. So to solve this issue, what I've been doing is I've been printing, and I know a lot of you are, printing the chin strap with the helmet and head, combining these three for a single print. One guarantees a nice fit around the chin, which is great. But then you can also start to guarantee a better fit to the helmet. But as you can see, with this helmet and chin strap combination here, I've brought it in and I lined it up, but we're not where we need to be with these clips. Okay, the clips and the snaps are not lining up. So I'm going to show you how we can use Blender to move these and get these where they need to be. All right, so I've already exported all three of these pieces out as separate units. I'm gonna go over into Blender. Now in the past, I think I've done, file import STL. I found out you can drag and drop directly from my Finder window and import STL, and right there pops in the exact same location as it was in Meshmixer in terms of on the grid in space. It's a lot faster load. Okay, so we got our head, helmet, chin strap. I'm in sculpting mode. Remember Blender defaults to layout mode. You can be in either. I just like the look of sculpting mode here. I have to make sure that I have the chin strap selected and go into object. And this is sculpting view. This is object mode and sculpting mode here. Alright, so now I'm in sculpting mode in the sculpting view with my chin strap selected. You can see it's highlighted up here. So that's the only part that's getting affected. Alright, so we'll start with the easy one. We just need to nudge this strap over just a little bit so it aligns there. For most chin strap work, you're going to be using two brushes, and that is the elastic grab and the grab. Let me show you the difference real quick between the two. The grab brush, it's going to grab and move everything that's pretty much inside the inner circle of the brush. Now we have two rings here, okay? From the inner ring to the outer ring in that area, that's where it's going to kind of feather the effect, okay? So everything within the whole brush is going to be affected by this move. It's going to be heavily concentrated in that center ring and then feathering out, okay? If I use elastic grab, okay, sort of the same concept. It's going to be focused, mostly in the center of the brush, but you can see the rest of the chin strap is moving too. You can see it moving down at the bottom. It pulls more, which is nice because, we don't want to deform the chin strap at all. So we want to be careful with our moves, and sometimes big moves are better, sometimes small moves are better. So for this one, I just want to make my brush real big and just start to gently move and pull that over, adjusting the size and maybe even the strength okay, of the brush to move this over. And voila, we are in place. Rotating around, making sure that we're getting this down tight to the helmet. Avoid those face mask issues later. And I'll even pull down here and get that so there's no clipping there. Okay, so that's that side done. Now for this side, I'm going to show you something a little bit different. There's another brush called the pose brush. Find that one. Okay, here is the pose brush right here. And all right, see that little line now that's in the center of the brush? Think of those as adding a single bone to this mesh here. So as I'm going to make this brush really big, and what I want to do is sort of get the end of each bone on those clips right there. And now you can use this to click and drag and sort of bend around those end points, okay? And it's going to bend around that outermost end point. So I can click and drag and just pull like so. I never used the pose brush before today for that, but I was just kind of playing around with the other brushes. I'm like, that was so fast and so easy. I don't know how well it's going to work on, in other scenarios, but I thought for that was pretty nice. I may just kind of go through and just make a few more tweaks, but there. Small moves like that are really easy to do. Again, I want to kind of come in here and tighten that up against the helmet. You gotta make sure you work your angles. Okay, this is the tough one because we're going a long distance and we're compressing by quite a bit. So again, we talked about how the two brushes work, affecting sort of just the direct area, and then two affecting sort of the whole mesh. Where we run into issues when moving these straps a great distance is we don't want to distort this clip here. These easily get out of whack, and we want to avoid that. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to apply a mask on this. So I'm going to grab the mask brush here, and I'm going to start drawing on areas I don't want affected. Okay, so whatever I color, whatever turns dark is not going to be affected. Okay, and if you hold down Command or Control, depending if you're a Mac or PC, it'll erase. Okay, and I'm going to adjust the strength here because I want to kind of feather this because I don't want a harsh transition happening here. I want it to be gradual, so we don't see any noticeable blemishes. Now, you can do it without applying this mask as well, but I wanted to show you this. I wanted to show you how the mask works because it can help, but it's not often that I have to use the mask tool if I'm making just small moves. But this is a little bit bigger one. All right, so I'm going to start with elastic grab. And I'm going to go big. And to avoid distorting this clip, I'm going to try to keep the whole clip inside that inner circle at all times. So I'm going to say right in the center, I'm going to click, and I'm going to start to pull back. And every once in a while, I'll change my direction, start to work it in as well. Anytime I'm pulling this way, I want to keep this in the center as best I can. If I see I'm starting to get a little distorted, maybe I switch to the regular grab brush and to get in here. You don't want to necessarily wait to the end after you've done all these big moves and then try to fix it. It could be too much at that point. So if you see you're starting to get distortion, then go ahead and sort of make those tweaks now. Get it kind of fixed again, so you're just not, you know, multiplying those deformities as you go. So, all right. All right, so it looks, you know, pretty good again. I'm gonna grab the elastic grab, nice and big, and I'm gonna keep pulling. You know, now maybe we started to get too much distortion there, so I'm gonna Command Z and back that out. Okay, and then maybe it's time to adjust my mask. So I'll hold down Command or Control to Mac or PC, erase some of that. Okay. Back that feather out. Go back to my grab brush. This is one of the more complicated face masks too, so we got the ring, we got some extra straps here. So not all of them are this difficult, but hey, if you can do it on the most difficult one, you can do it on the easy ones. The elastic grab. Alright, now as we're starting to get closer, maybe I just take the grab brush now and just use the grab brush. Now, I'm starting to get to a point where I'm very close, but I'm starting to do possibly more damage, you know, than maybe I want to. You know, you would not see the snap anyways. Strap would be covering up the snap. So maybe if you're getting to a point where you're like, man, I'm really close, but I'm starting to do, you know, more harm than good. You might say this is as close as it needs to be to that spot. You can see that this, you know, we got the button right there, the snap right there. So maybe from here, I hide the strap, go to the helmet, and go into sculpt mode, and then take something like the smooth brush with high strength, and just go ahead and go right over and sort of eliminate the snap, which you wouldn't see anyways. And there. I'm going to turn the head back on. Select my strap again. You know, it looks pretty good. Here I would just do a few more final tweaks. One, okay, I gotta get rid of the mask. Okay, and then I'm just gonna do one last check. You know, close up some of these gaps, get that up against the helmet. Make sure it kind of looks right from each angle. Remember, you can get away with a little bit more. The smaller the figure, bigger the figure, the bigger things are going to stand out. So you gotta decide how careful you gotta be depending on the figure. Then I would also look at the fit around the chin, so I can use this to sort of reshape the cup a little bit. I like to look at the fit underneath. There's too much. Get that real close, and you can get a real nice close, natural looking cup shape, you know, on the chin. You know, this is gonna look good. It's all gonna fit nice. And there, I'm not gonna go and do that one. You saw, you know, what I did here. So there we go. All right, so that's how you can manipulate the chin strap to get a better fit. Not super happy with that result. I would go back in with the grab brush, and I'd probably make a few more tweaks on that. But with practice and a little bit of patience, it's not that hard. Except this was a more difficult one. A lot of them are that easy. We're gonna go back to Meshmixer. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna hide the helmet. All right, so a couple of things I like to do, we could go ahead and, just pre-hollow this head and put some holes in it directly in Meshmixer, which is pretty easy. And to avoid getting sort of small potential pockets up in this area, let's just make sure we have a nice big open area where resin can flow out, cleaning solution get in there nice and easy. So we're gonna start by actually getting rid of some of the head. So actually first what we're gonna do is we are gonna hollow it. So if I go here and hollow, we'll kind of, I like sticking to 3mm walls. You can do 2. Now you can see what the hollow space look like, and this is all weird because we have an extra object that was hiding in there. So we gotta go and separate shells. And as you can see, we got that little mess that was hiding in there. So we're gonna delete that, and we'll go back to edit and hollow. That's a lot cleaner. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and hit accept. Okay, so it's hollow, but it does need holes. So we're gonna start by just doing a big hole on top in the way of a plane cut. So we'll just take the dome off here. And we can come down that. That should be pretty good. Now we've got a nice big opening. Yep, you don't really notice it, but you won't notice it on the print itself. But now we got a nice little gap here, okay, that you won't be visible, but it's going to allow for resin to drip out. It's going to allow for a cleaning solution to get in, place a shiny UV light in as well, but you're not going to have those pockets. Now you have to decide to how much you like that. On a 6-inch figure, it's gonna be real tight, and it's just gonna be black in there, which is kind of nice. But maybe depending on the types of holes that you have in your helmet, maybe it changes how and where you do your plane cut. Okay, but we do have to address the hole at the bottom, and I'm gonna do that by taking my cylinder here and dropping it. Line that up center, shrink it down, and then pull that long. Keep it center as much as possible. Just make sure it's coming through the other end. Select the head, select the cylinder, Boolean difference, and accept. And now you've got your hole through the bottom, hole through the top, and you're set. Like I said, if you don't like how this looks here, instead of doing the plane cut that we did, okay, after you hollow, you could run the cylinder all the way through top to bottom, or smaller cylindrical hole through the bottom, and then a bigger one in the top center of the head. But by eliminating some of the head, we create a nice big pocket in there. So those are some of the techniques that I use to eliminate those two issues, adjust face masks. So hopefully this was helpful.